Post-traumatic stress disorder is an anxiety disorder that can occur after you have been through a traumatic event. All people with post-traumatic stress disorder have lived through a traumatic event that caused them to fear for their lives, see horrible things, and feel helpless. Strong emotions caused by the event create changes in the brain that may result in post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder was not an internationally accepted disorder until the year 1980, 13 years after the Vietnam conflict officially ended. Post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms may disrupt your life and make it hard to continue with your daily activities. It may be hard just to get through the day. Post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms usually start soon after the traumatic event, but they may not happen until months or years later.
He was treated very badly. Yeah. He was called a baby killer. Even his best friend called him a baby killer and stuff like that. But it wasn't pleasant for him at all. Sit there on the couch, and like he was in the daze, he was in another world, and I'd just leave him alone because there was nothing I could do to get him out of it.
You just sit there for, was there anything that triggered it or anything?
Yeah, there's a lot of war movies and stuff like that. And then a lot of the papers, the articles about the kids coming back.
For trauma survivors, nightmares are a common problem. Along with flashbacks and unwanted memories, nightmares are one of the ways in which a trauma survivor may relive the trauma for months or years after the event.
I guess a couple of nights he got up and he thought there was Viet Cong outside, and he got an axe handle and walked around the house to make sure there was nobody there, And I was afraid he was gonna start walking, down the highway or something in his t-shirt or whatever, but counseling has gotten me through that too. Mostly for the wives. They have classes, therapy classes for the wives, because the wives of veterans that have been over in the wars and that, they get what's called secondary Ptsd. It affects the wives also. And just get some help and go to counseling.
Secondary trauma is defined as indirect exposure to trauma through a first-hand account or narrative of a traumatic event. The vivid recounting of trauma by the survivor and the clinician's subsequent cognitive or emotional representation of that event may result in a set of symptoms and reactions that parallel post-traumatic stress disorder.
He would have nightmares, and I would have to wake him up because he'd be screaming. And but he still wouldn't talk about it. So it was hard, hard to really realize what he had been through. One time he got real sick with the flu and he had a high fever, and he thought he was back in Rome. And it scared my kids because they were about 12, 14, 12, 15, something like that. So they had seen a side of him that they'd never seen before. So it affected him quite a bit. He still has nightmares, and the thing about it now is I have to be careful when he has nightmares. I can't just touch him and wake him up anymore because he starts swinging. And so now I have to get up out of bed and kind of grab his toes and wake him up.
When trauma survivors take direct action to cope with their stress reactions, they put themselves in a position of power. Active coping with the trauma makes you begin to feel less helpless.
You know, they did have counseling. I tried to get him into it about 30 years ago. But I guess it really wasn't a whole lot, and he was stubborn, and he just wouldn't go. He says he didn't need help. But I think all the kids coming back, all the men and women coming back, definitely need help.
Active coping means accepting the impact of trauma on your life and taking direct action to improve things.
So has your husband had any counseling or support?
Yeah, he went to, now that the Iraq war and Afghanistan war, that's when things really got bad for him. Nightmares just about every night, and sleepwalking, and whatnot. But they had a PTSD program in Denver, and he went up there. He was there for 7 weeks. And after that, I was sorry that he went because it seemed like it made him worse. But he's getting a lot of counseling, and he started a PTSD alumni here in Pueblo. And it's the effects, how can I put it? It's helped him in the long run. And now he's able to talk to me about stuff.
Recovery is an ongoing daily process. It happens little by little. It is not a matter of being cured all of a sudden.
You said that he went to Denver and he went to that PTSD thing.
Mm-hmm.
How did he come back? You said he came back and it seemed like he was worse.
Yeah, it brought out a lot of things that he'd forgotten. And when they're up there, they make him talk about everything. So a lot of things came back that he blocked. You know, some of his friends getting killed and whatnot. But like I say, in the long run, it's helped him quite a bit.
Counseling for those who are coping with PTSD is also available for victims of secondary PTSD.
They have marriage counseling for couples that are having problems. Then they have all women counseling. So yeah, it's helped quite a bit. You know, when I married Butch, I said it was for life. And this has been tough. But I would advise any wife, if they love their husband that much, to hang in there and get him some help. And just don't give up on him.